All right. So, Dr. Sadie Rose Adado, so grateful you're a part of Gig Your Home. And just to start, I was think it would be helpful for the viewers to understand what hear your profession, and what it is that you do, and then your business. So if you just will give a brief on that.
Sure, yeah. My background is in athletic training, sports medicine. So I have my doctorate in athletic training. It's a clinical doctorate. So right now, and what I do for my own business is I see patients independently for specialized rehab. So this is after an injury or an illness or something that led them to maybe their activities of daily living weren't the same, or they want their function improved, things like that. So focusing on rehabilitation in the physical sense. I think a common misconception when people hear athletic training is they think personal trainer. Although I do have a background in strength and conditioning, my work is really more around orthopedic rehabilitation. So I think that's a distinction, especially because what I'm actually going to be talking about is something that is a physical, mental, and emotional practice. So yeah, so it's kind of it's nice because it's a hybrid of what my background is in, but also something that I practice myself. I am not in my practice environment now because this is my office.
Okay.
But and also my practice, what I want to talk about today is yoga. So yoga is a practice that I participate in, if not daily, at least a few times a week. But kind of breaking down the practice of yoga, it encompasses a few different components. One of them is movement, so physical movement. The other one is breathing, which is really vital, obviously, to your life and to movement. And then the third one is connectedness. And part of that connectedness is kind of drawing all those components together. And even if you don't have the movement piece, you can still practice the connectedness and the breathing through meditation. I didn't necessarily have to be on my yoga mat in a yoga studio to be able to demonstrate some of these things, because quite frankly, most of the time I practice yoga, I am in a gym-based setting or I'm in the yoga studio.
Okay.
I do practice it at home sometimes, but for me, it's nice to kind of get out of the home to practice. And then I take some of those principles and apply them at home. If you're, sitting in a chair, we'll just give that as an example, but you can be lying down, you can be standing. The breathing principle and the connectedness can happen at any point in time throughout your day. I personally really like box breathing, which is you essentially take a number of breaths. On your inhale, you hold for that number of breaths, you exhale for that number of breaths, and you hold at the bottom for that number of breaths, and you just repeat. So for me, for example, I like 4, but as you get, as this becomes a little bit more easy for you, you might find 8 or 10 breaths. And, you could do that pretty easily. But to begin, I feel like 4 is pretty normal. So you would breathe on your inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4.
Can you demonstrate the practice quietly to just demonstrate the box breathing right now?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can, like, when I'm in a meditative state, I like personally lying down or sitting in a very like restful position. So if I'm working, I would maybe recline a little bit. I would just kind of get comfortable. I like to kind of close my eyes or just soften my gaze where I'm not looking at anything in particular. I'm just kind of zoning out. So I'll just go through what it is for me to experience this. That was just 2 rounds, but you can do as many rounds as you would like. For me, before I go to sleep, my brain tends to, run, thinking
Mhm.
about all the things I have to do for the next day. And those are, for me, those are cues that when I notice my brain kind of going on a tangent about something, this is a great way to reconnect with something as simple as breathing. All you have to focus on is breathing in and breathing out. And you don't even have to do the box breathing if you don't want. You can just focus on the inhale and how it feels in your body, and the exhale, and just repeat until you come to this place where there's a little bit more peace um, around your mind. And that's the whole point of it, is to connect with your body and let your mind just kind of do its thing. And you're kind of watching the thoughts go by as if they're clouds or a movie reel or something, rather than going, oh, that thought is this and I feel this way about it. And those feelings tend to get a bit agitating.
When you think of doing the practice of box breathing, what elements do you consider that empower you to focus on even giving it one breath?
I think with any practice of meditation, and if you break that down to breathing, awareness of surroundings is really important. And just tuning in to notice, I have some plants over here and they're there, and there's a light on, and this room feels soft right now. You can even tune into exactly what your skin is in contact with. So when I practice breathing in a sitting position, I'll often kind of find what neutral spine feels like to me in good posture. So I'm alert and awake, but I feel grounded. So I feel the seat underneath me, and I feel my hands connecting with the leather on the chair and my feet on the ground. If you want to disconnect from the visual, you can close your eyes or soften your gaze. That's why it's important to be able to do those things. So you can kind of modify what you need. If you do choose to close your eyes, you can then open your ears a little bit more. Are you hearing some birds outside? Maybe a car, maybe a vacuum running in the distance. Your ability to shut off one sense can help tune you into other senses. And obviously, we have 5 senses. So you can focus on smell, you can focus on touch, you can focus on sound, sight, and you can even focus on taste, or feeling, like how does the breath feel entering your nose and exiting your mouth. I would say those are the biggest environmental cues that help to empower you in the practice.
This is about you as an expert and you practicing this for yourself. So kind of take it down to just you and then practice being meaningful to you. What provides a sense of meaningfulness to the practice of box breathing?
Mm. I think the meaningfulness for me in this is that I historically throughout my life have always had more of an anxious mind, in the sense that my brain just keeps going, and it's wonderful in so many ways. I'm very grateful for that, because I think that in some ways makes me a very high achiever, and I want to keep going. And there's a lot of, I have a lot of drive there, but I've seen how those elements can really lead to, I guess burnout, is kind of a hot word, but it can lead to that. If your engine is constantly going and it doesn't have a moment to rest, you can't be rested. Like nothing can go at 100 miles an hour all the time. It needs those moments of decompression. So that's the meaningfulness part for me, is that even in a high energy situation, let's say I'm at a party with a bunch of friends and I'm having the best time. And all of a sudden I realize my heart's racing and I'm like really excited, or I'm really, feeling very like a lot of energy. This is a good way for me to connect with that and identify that, and bring it back to more of a grounded excitement rather than a nervous excitement or anxious excitement. It's a tool for me to be able to ground myself in situations that aren't necessarily bad. I don't like using that like it's bad or good. It's just high energy or high anxiety or um, nervousness or whatever that is. It can even be excitement. It helps to kind of ground me and bring me back to neutral. I think the meaningfulness that it provides me an outlet to be able to connect with Sadie, myself, that's really important to me. And that's why I use it, why I recommend other people using it.
Is box breathing a ritual, or is it is it something that is promoted, again, from your purview?
Yeah.
Is it a ritual, or is it more of like an adaptive, like a resource to adapt to situations?
It's been both for me. You know, I've gone through times in my life where I was really regimented in my schedule, where I meditated every morning at 7:30 for 15 minutes before I got out of bed, and then went along with my morning routine. And I think that it was very effective for me at the time. And then you go through life and there's times when you don't do that as often, right? So I think in that sense it was ritualistic, or it has been ritualistic for me in the past. Now I think that I use it more as an adaptive tool when I sense that I need it. The meditation practice that I used to do in the mornings, I still do, and I still do breathing at night before I go to bed as a tool to relax myself before going to bed. I
Mm.
used to have a lot of anxiety around going to sleep. I mean, at a young age, I remember having like sleep anxiety where I could not fall asleep. And now sleep is my friend. It's my, I'm so thankful that I get to have my sleep. And I'm really grateful when I get a good night's sleep. And some of those tools help me to get there, and have helped me to get there over time. So every time I see my bed, it's a place of solace and rest for me now.
So we're going to do a lightning round. This is
Mhm.
just to touch on some social and behavioral factors in terms of whole person health, and just to kind of get from Dr. Sadie Rose Adado's, you know, tools of what, she relies on. So what elicits playfulness?
Dancing.
Mhm. You want to share why?
Yeah, because you can dance usually with music, but you don't have to have music, I guess. But when you dance, you're literally moving to the beat of your own rhythm. And I think that's super powerful.
Amen. What elicits energy, or like to do a priority for you?
Like drinking water is one of the best things that I feel like after I drink a good chug of water, I feel very energized. So I think, and water is the drink of life.
You're literally indwelling or
Yes.
engulfing. What would be the word? Inhabiting.
Yes.
What helps you to be present?
Breathing. So that one tied back in, I guess.
Boom. What helps your mindset to uphold Sadie's values?
Man, again, this kind of goes back to what we've been talking about the whole time, but I think self-reflection. If I am not confident in what those values are, how could I uphold them?
For sure. It's about the pause, the pregnant pause.
Hmm. Very pregnant.
What restores a sense of growth, or reframes a sense of failure?
Man, immediately I was like, it's got to be the downtime in between. Like you can't reflect on a failure and you can't rest unless you have had that time to do so. So a good, 12-hour sleep, that'll do it.
I love my sleep too. I get it. What restores a sense of relief, or opens your heart and mind to interact?
For me, it would be connecting with a close friend, a partner, family member, something where I'm able to either meet them and, be a set of listening ears for them, or be able to share something that's on my heart. I think that is very relieving.
We're going to get to your 3 words here. So what word do you correlate with doing?
So doing, I had practicing.
What word correlates with being?
Being a student or being a learner. Like, because you're constantly practicing, and then being a student or a learner.
And becoming?
Becoming more wise.
Practicing, learning,
and wisdom, or
and
being in tune.
it's beautiful. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sadie Rose.
You're so welcome, Anita.
I can't even remember your maiden name anymore.
I can't either. I let it go, I guess.